Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to Put Your Family First Podcast, award-winning. Put Your Family First Podcast, 4-time award-winning. Love in the community, Put Your Family First Podcast. Then today is a special day. I'm going to kick off this, kind of set the tempo. Dr. Heather, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Enjoying the day.
Brother Dave. Before we announce, bring on our special guest, Brother Rodney Fresh, I want to throw the statistic in the air and wave it like you just don't care. Right? Did you know that 54% of black men are unmarried? Right? 54%. Well, 55 compared to 62% of black women unmarried, unpartnered, unmarried, right? But there was a glaring statistic to go along with that. In 1940, only 15% of the black culture was unmarried. We had 15% of out of wedlock marriages, births, whatever, but 15% in 1940. We only had a single household rate of 15%. So what is that? So 40 to today is astronomical numbers. And if we get into the percentage, that's a different thing, right? But I just wanted to put that piece in the middle of this conversation. First of all, I'd like to welcome this brother, the brother Rodney Fresh. Just give you a little bit about him. He's a dedicated educator, leader, father, right? And works in public education. He's at CMA High School and DPS, Detroit Public School, DPS, STD, however they say that as well, right? He serves as the union representative and lead, and he's my building black brickmaster's brother, and he's done a number of things. And so we're going to welcome my friend and brother, Rodney Fresh.
Thank you. It's funny because earlier we were talking about how I got my start, and my family start was really with my dad and my mom. I can't do anything without first giving honor to my dad because I'm named after him. I'm literally the walking embodiment of everything he prayed for. And so I have to start there. And then my mom, I got to see her be a public school educator for 34 years and following her footsteps. And so they really kicked the door down for me. Like they gave me the blueprint. All I had to do was follow.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. See how that just flowed right in, right? Because the brother, he most definitely can tell you and will tell you, and so Rodney, right there, let's continue the conversation. Tell us a little bit about you.
So I'm the proud, I've been married, 7? It'll be 7 years in August.
All right.
So it's been fun, as my dad would say. It's lots of fun, even in the dark days. It's still fun. I got somebody that I know will fight in the dark, no matter what the battle. So I have a bonus baby that's 14. So making the blended family arrangement work, and then I have but I consider the best gift God could ever give me. I had my 4-year-old son, Rodney Ali. So I always tell him I named him after my 2 favorite people in the world, my dad and Muhammad Ali. So,
Nice.
been in education, 17 years now. Been at CMA the past 8. Spent 3 wonderful years at Osborne. I know Osborne gets a very bad rap, but I truly enjoyed my time there. 4 years at UPrep, 1 year in Baltimore. So,
Whoa! Did you say 1 year in Baltimore?
yes.
Oh yeah, you got to talk about that. Right?
Baltimore was different. First year teacher. I probably wouldn't have made it. 3 things helped me make it. God, my mom, she was a lifesaver because I could call her and be like, this happened, and she'd be like, try this. And then actually the brother that was next door to me, which is not one of my best friends. It's amazing how God works. I'm in Baltimore. It's a black male teacher next door to me, and lo and behold, he from Detroit too.
Wow.
And so I had first year teacher problems, kids didn't want to listen to me. I had a mentor that really didn't have my best interests at heart. And, you know, God gave me Mike Brooks, and shoot, me and him been rocking since he was one of the groomsmen in my wedding.
Wow, right.
So, but he really was there because I could always go next door like, can you take this kid or this happened? He'd be like, try this, and so.
That's dope. So being in education all this time, and having the legacy that you have, like, give us one of your best stories.
There's so many. I'll give you one on why I feel like Black history is so important, and why I think the current administration is trying to get rid of it. They can say what they want to say, but we know at the end of the day, like, we know the end game. My last year at Osborne, I taught African American history, and parent teacher conference came around, and this Osborne, it's the second parent teacher conference. We 4 hours in the conferences saw one parent. So at this point, I'm upset. I'm like, I'm wasting my time at this point. Only one parent showed up, and I went to another teacher's room, and I remember it was like 10 minutes left in conferences, and the kid came and got me. He said, you got a parent at your room? I said, really? So I go down there, and the parent goes, she says, I know it's late, but I just had to meet you. She said, your African American history class is the reason why my daughter comes to school every day. And I was like, oh. And then I remember when Dick Gregory died, the same student sent me a message on Facebook, thank you for teaching me about who Dick Gregory was. And so that right there, people ask, how do you keep going? I'm like, it's stories like that keep you going. I got text messages from former students like, I graduated because of you. And I'm like, oh, it's days I thought I was going to have to kill you. Or
Right.
Then one of my all-time favorite students, and I'm mad because his story is still being told, but it took a path it didn't have to take. Phenomenal basketball player, football player. Michigan State was looking at him play football. The week after the Michigan State coaches came out, I get a phone call from his mom. I don't want you to hear this from anybody else. Jay got arrested. The way God worked it out is, I'm at a birthday party. My dad is there. He could tell my face was fresh and changed. He's like, what's going on? So I tell him what's going on. He said, wait, it happened at Wayne State? I said, yeah. He said, that's my precinct. He said, do you want to go see him? I said, yeah, I want to go see him. So it's 9:30 at night. He hops in my car. We drive down to number 12 where they had him at the time. And so my dad walks me back to the holding cell, said, I'm going to go look at the police report. You can talk to him. So I tell my students this story all the time, how your friend can change your path without you even knowing.
Yeah, speak on it.
I go back, I said, did you do it? He says, yeah. I said, why? He said, well, my friends was robbing people at Wayne State, so I thought it would be a good idea. Said, but your friends don't have the calling that you got. And so God worked it out though, because I go talk to my principal. She says, you want to go to the court dates? I said, of course I want to go to the court dates. This is my kid.
Right.
And so I go to the pretrial. The victim walks in. I know the victim.
Wow.
I look at my dad. I said, I know him. I said, I had classes with him at Wayne State. My dad said, well, technically, since you know the perpetrator, you're not supposed to talk to him. But if y'all bump paths in the hallway, nothing nobody can do. So I make sure after the pretrial, me and the guy, we cross paths. He remembers me. I tell him, that's my student. Unfortunately, he said, well, I don't really want to press charges, but Wayne State Police is really who pressing it. So another blessing happened. My dad knew the prosecutor, knew the judge, knew the defense attorney. It took some time, but was able to get the case dismissed.
Oh, wow. Sweet. Praise God.
Wow.
But even in that, it was like the simple things that our kids don't have. Like, Jay's father was locked up. So he's like, I've never cut the grass before. So I called my dad. I said, hey, he ain't cut the grass. And I'll bring him to your house so he can cut the grass. And I still got the picture to this day of him on my dad's ride lawnmower. And how big that was to him just to be able to cut the grass.
Yeah, that speaks to the reason. Great stories, right? That speaks to the reason why we are in the prevention work, where the boys should be cutting the grass, learning to make a meal, right? Taking on some accountability of the things that we do. Anybody got a questions for him before I go into my next question? Because I know.
Burning questions. I want to actually talk about, so with our Emmy Future Leader program, we focus on boys 8 to 14. So I'm curious to know, like, in these different segments, especially because you had, both your parents. The first segment, the youngest segment we work with is boys 3 to 7, and that's with our Reading is Life program. So when you were 3 to 7 years old, like, what were some of the activities that were happening in your house?
So, and it's some of the things I try to emulate with Ali. Constantly being read to, constantly being inundated with Black history. Like, history, like, I didn't start learning at school. Like, I came to school with already some tools in my toolbox, per se. My parents were big on, you don't get the summers off. I went to Mary Grove and did reading workshops, and like, school was year round. I had responsibilities early. If my dad was somewhere, I was with him, per se. Like, I remember going to the mayor's office, Comey Young. My dad was working security at the time, and sitting in the mayor's office and having Comey Young, like, pour into me. And, like, back then I didn't know how cool it was, like, but I look back on it like, that was awesome. Like, the mayor. So when I think about 3 to 7, I mean, Ali's 4. And like, my dad would always tell me the hardest thing I ever had to do in life was raise a Black boy in the city of Detroit. So I look at what did my parents do well, right? They read to me constantly. They spent, like, my dad was super busy, but he spent time with me. And, like, I was having a conversation with my wife yesterday. Like, I lived a very well-off life, but I was like, it's the things that I don't remember the things, I remember the memories. And so, like, I'm very busy now between union stuff and everything I got going on. It was funny. I was just talking to one of my really good friends in the car, and because I have a family member that's not really in this life, and I'm twice as busy as you are, and I'm like 90% of the time when people call me, Ali is with me. Mm-hmm. And so I remember we were doing like family counseling like a couple of years ago, and the counselor told my wife, if anything ever happened between y'all two, that boy is going with him. And so,
Right.
and then a big thing that I see from 3 to 14 still today, and even in my high schoolers, parents aren't your friend at that age. Like, me and my dad didn't become friends till I graduated from college. Mm-hmm. And even still then, it's a level of respect. Mm-hmm. Like, my dad is my best friend, but you'll never hear me cuss in front of my dad. You'll never see me drink in front of my dad. Mm-hmm. That's just a level of respect.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you can move up to that next age group, so from your 8 to 14, like when you're coming into your own as a young man, what were some of the experiences that you had, and how did your parents help shape those experiences?
My dad my mom only whipped me once, and it was a whipping I deserved. But my dad was the disciplinarian, mm-hmm. And to the point where people say, well, you shouldn't be scared of your parents. I had a healthy fear, mm-hmm. And I had a healthy respect, and that's missing. So I'll never forget 6th grade. I thought I was all that. Got a bad report card.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so
let's go.
I'm a latchkey kid. Not this day. My dad come pick me up. It's January. It's snowing. It's about 3-4 inches of snow on the ground. He said, we going for a walk. I said, in the snow? He said, yeah, we going for a walk. So we started walking, and all of a sudden he pushed me in the snow. He said, you like to fail, don't you? He said, I want you to know how failing feels. Mm-hmm. So he picked me up the snow. We walked another couple of feet, pushed me again in the snow. Did this all the way around the school. And then I'll never forget the little security guard at the school came out like, oh, you can't do that. And my dad showed up the badge and I'm like, just leave it alone. And then that Saturday, he woke me up. He said, you going to work with me today? I said, okay. I grabbed my basketball. Regular day at first. Went upstairs, played basketball in the gym with the other police officer. And about 10 o'clock, my dad came and got me. He said, I got to go question the prisoner. You coming with me? I go down to the cell. Tell me, you go sit in that cell right there. Okay. He said, turnkey. I said, wait, that mean this cell about to close. He said, you stay on this path. This is where you going to be at. Mm-hmm. And from 10 to 4 o'clock till we got off, that's where I was.
Wow.
Lesson learned. Fathers, the thing that the nanny said her daughter would interrupt the father and how he parented. And she said, never interrupt the father in how he's parenting, because you're going to always have to show up. You're going to be the one to show up you're going to be the one. What do we see consistently? When a kid is in trouble, somebody, they showed, there are these highlights where the mother is in the room when the police finish telling the boy, you about to go to jail. Mm-hmm. And they bring the mom in, and the mom is in the room, and you can hear her, and there's several clips like this, and you can hear her telling him to tell the truth, right? Tell the truth, because they about to lock you, right? And so now he's locked up, right? And so what happens is reality sets in, because we have not navigated down here. So what Rodney was just sharing was the fact that the navigation of the parenting is down here. It's not up here. Up here is guidance. Down here is navigating, cultivating, all of that. So when he gets up here, it's guidance, right? And it's through that process that as his dad said, right there at 12, my philosophy at 12, 6th grade, is take them out back. I'm going to take them out back at 12 to break them, because at 12, that's when they usually get that little, great story. My oldest boy walks into the room, two-man walks into the room, me and my brother Cornell is talking, and he walks into the room and brushes up. You know, he played football. He brushes up like, yeah. My brother looked, he's like, oh, I'm out, and shut the door, walked out and shut the door. And so you can hear my aunt like, what's that noise? Why is he... Yeah, because those lessons have to be taught, right? If you don't cultivate that seed, and that's a great story. So, Rock, I got to ask you. Dave, you got a question? I got to ask you. You got a question?
No, wait.
Okay. I got to ask you, what is your fatherhood story?
So the journey with Ali has been very interesting. Like I said, I'm also a bonus dad, which is a journey within itself. And I had to tell my bonus daughter, last year she came to me and she said, I don't feel like you love me like you love Ali. And so I said, honestly, I don't. And I said, I don't expect you to love me like you love your biological father. It's not realistic to. And I said, one of the biggest differences is I get to be the end-all, be-all with Ali. I don't have to check with your mom. I don't have to check with another man. I get to make all the decisions. And so I kind of say Ali is my miracle baby too, because my wife got pregnant December 2019. We find out she's pregnant. End of January, I'm at a professional development on a Saturday, and my wife is blowing up my phone. I'm like, she never calls. She knows I'm up for, so something's wrong. So I answer. She's like, I just stood up and there's blood everywhere. So I rush home. We get her to the hospital. She has a placental eruption. So it's to the point where I'm like, Beaumont is making us wait too. Like, we ain't went back for no. It was 2 hours. We still ain't went back to no ultrasound. And the doctor, I need some answers. So eventually we go to get the ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech say, I still hear a heartbeat. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. All right. Fast forward to July 27, my wife isn't due to August 18. July 27, her water breaks. We get to Beaumont. First, I tell her, "Oh no, your water didn't break." And I'm like, "I know, I just ain't stepping." So she we want a second opinion. Let me go back, because when I was born, my mom didn't feel me kick for a whole night at the hospital. Had a dry birth. 18 months later, I'm diagnosed with cerebral palsy. And she had doctors telling her, well, wait till he's 5. And then, and she's like, no, so I was able to get early intervention, physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. So when it came to Ali, it's like, we here, we staying here. And I thank God that we had a black doctor, because it was like black women and tolerance and pain and how to make, like, it's real. Like,
right.
We had a
black maternal health issue. Yeah, for sure.
My wife had complained to the nurse, like, it hurts laying on my side. Oh, well, we're not going to move you. And so her black doctor, Dr. Morse, stepped in and said, no, listen to the patient. If she's telling you she's in pain, we're going to adjust her. So we have Ali. That is my pride and joy. Part of it was this: 2 weeks after his birth, my wife starts getting severe neck pain. See, eventually I get her to go to the ER, I get a call at 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh, we're transferring her to Beaumont Road. She has an aneurysm. So now, call my parents. They come sit with Ali so I can be at the hospital. I walk in. The first thing they ask me about is a DNR. And I go, wait, what? And so, and then we still had to push because her neurologist was telling her, oh, you can take this. And we're like, well, she breastfeeding. Oh, I checked with the pediatrician and the OB. It's fine. I called the OB. I didn't even have a conversation with the guy.
Wow.
And so me and Ali, I really think started from that because when my wife is in the hospital, at the hospital during the day, at night, Ali's he's bonding with me. He's sleeping on my chest, listening to my heartbeat. Right. And so it's to the point. Ali is 4. These behaviors that some people think are cute. I can look at Ali and he'll start crying. Like my wife may have to raise her voice. I can just look at him.
Fatherhood, the untold story.
Blessings.
Absolute blessings.
So many blessings.
Absolute blessings.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that.
Because again, right? What did he say? He said, I can stare at you. A lot of people, that's the difference, right? In a father, which we miss. We don't understand that. People often say, well, how is it that you can say, go sit down, but you didn't scream 4 or 5 times, go sit down? That's the difference in the father, especially with that boy. That's a huge thing. That's awesome, Mike. You can probably go to the commercial because that was nice. That was nice. That was a good story, and that's what people need to know. Men stories. Every athlete, every person, every human being has an opportunity. Some opportunities don't come when you want them. But if you're prepared, good opportunities can happen. Always be ready, because you never know when your number is going to get called.
I'm not coming back.
EMI Apparel. Encourage me. I'm young.
Are you an indie podcast or content creator looking to reach a wider audience? Look no further. Introducing Podcastic, the ultimate podcast network designed exclusively for indie creators like you. At Podcastic, we believe in the power of unique voices and fresh perspectives. We're here to amplify your passion and creativity, connecting you with a growing community of engaged listeners who crave original content. Podcastic is more than just a platform. It's a support system built for indie podcasters, offering a range of resources to help you succeed. From tailored promotional campaigns to professional production assistance, we're here to help you shine. Our intuitive platform makes it easy for you to be seen and heard. We do all the heavy lifting for you. You just show up and create. Plus, with our advanced analytics, you'll gain valuable insights into your audience's preferences, allowing you to refine your content and grow your fan base. Ignite your passion, expand your reach, and thrive with podcasting. Visit our website at www.podcasticlife.com to get started. Podcastic, the home for indie podcasts and content creators.
You have reverence for God.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Brother Rock, you said you had a story for coming of age.
Yeah. So actually 2 stories, and I'll make them both quick. 10th grade, got put in all honor classes. Thought I was the man. First progress report came out. I have 2 F's and a D. Dad showed up at parents' conference. He looked at me. He was like, "Do you want me to fix this, or are you gonna fix it?" Said, I'll fix it. went from 2 F's and a D to 3.3 by the time report card came out.
That's right.
I didn't want to even attempt to find out what my dad fix it was going to be.
Or eat some more snow.
I know. Hopefully you don't catch the yellow stuff.
Right.
The second story, I was staying at my grandma's house one weekend over the summer. Grandma stays Burwood and Plymouth area, so and there used to be a KFC on the corner of Plymouth and Myers. My cousin, who was a couple years younger than me, female, decides it's like 8 o'clock at night, so you can walk to KFC. 9 o'clock comes, she hasn't made it back, so me and my other cousin and some of our friends decide we gonna walk to KFC. We get there, she's like, oh, I'm okay, I'm gonna walk back with some of my friends that work there. We walking back down one of the side streets, police pull us over. We out after curfew. The police officer asks my name. I tell him, he does a double take. He says, so you're investigator Fresh Jr.? I said, yes, sir. He said, so Sergeant Vanessa, why is your auntie? I said, yes, sir. He goes, where are we going? Right up the street to my grandma's house. He says, okay, well, your dad was my recruiting officer and your auntie is the sergeant on duty right now, so I can't write you a ticket. But he calls my dad.
Give me the ticket.
Unbeknownst to me, I get home the next day, my dad's like, so what happened? So I tell him the story. He said, well, you shouldn't have been out after curfew. So I get put on punishment. I'm like, I was just trying to do the right thing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it go though, right? Because it's. I think you made the statement. Growing up in the city as a young black boy is you got to be raised.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You have to be raised, and that's I think that's where we, in my opinion, I think that's where we have things that are, it's not in order. It's out of order, and the reason why it's out of order is because they're raised out of order, right? And I think that's a difficult process for a lot of boys right now in this society. Even like you said, you being in the middle of this education piece, and you being in the middle, and them being able to have access to you with only what? It's only 2% nationwide black male teachers.
Yeah, well, a little less than 2% actually.
Mm-hmm.
So you're being a hero, just being present and caring. Now you teaching them too, and you applying some tools. That mean they're learning, and that's it's a conversation that we could really get into as to what are some of the things that you see as a male teacher that's needed even at every school. What do you think that is?
So, and I don't even want to get in on like supplies or things like that. Like, it's some basic things that parent can do right now that would to save their kid's life. And I often tell them, because I teach mainly 11th and 12th graders. Like, I got a section of 9th graders right now. But by the time I get them, it's usually too late, right? Because they pretty much have formed their identity. And by that time, I'm trying to mold. I'm trying to, like, I always tell the kids, like, I don't know what you do with your parental unit, but in here, this is what we do, right? So discipline. A lot of it boils, like I tell my students all the time, like, if you want to be successful in life, it's usually the 3 things y'all hate to do: read, write, and critically think. And that's a conversation that we're not having. Like, when I was part of the literacy lawsuit, one of the reasons why I did it, because when I went to Osborne, I'm getting kids, you reading at a 3rd to 4th grade level, you in the 10th and 11th grade. like realistically, like, how do we expect them to become successful adults at that point? And we can talk about funding. We can talk about the equities that we see in the school system, but there are very basic things that you can do at home right now that will save your kid's life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of them boils down to basic discipline, basic respect. This whole, oh, you got to give me respect to get it, like, that ain't how I was raised.
Right.
If you was an elder, if you had the knowledge that I was trying to get, what you need, sir? How can I help you? See, we, and I had this conversation with my wife, and I said, we try so hard to give our kids what we didn't have that we forget to give them the basic things that we did have.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to appreciate that.
Like, we live in neighborhoods now, and we don't, like, most of my teenagers don't know they next door neighbor or the neighbor across the street from them.
Yeah.
I knew everybody in the neighborhood, and everybody knew me, and everybody could discipline me. Mm-hmm. If they saw you was doing something wrong in the neighborhood, I'd rather you discipline me than have to call my dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if my dad find out, it's going to be smoke in the city tonight.
Right.
So please discipline me. Now you can't even say nothing to a kid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's because of what you just said. My dad, right? Did you hear about, we got this campaign for Reading is Life, right? Mm-hmm. Boys 3 to 7. But did you hear that one of our boys, age 6, read 83 books, right? 84 books in 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. That we would, but you know what? You know another area you went in at, right? You a father, and being a father in the classroom and bringing those. It takes 12 mentors to equal one father. When I say that, I don't be saying that just to be saying it. I'm saying the essence of a father is powerful. The fact that these kids are getting a double dose, including your stepdaughter, right? Your bonus daughter, rather, right? A double dose. If you can't understand the blessings that you have that's present in that classroom, with you being present and teaching those things, this is why we have a 98% parental involvement. Like, you can't bring me a kid and we don't have access to the parent.
Yeah, so one of the things, because I worked at UPrep for 4 years. I don't know if they still do it, but one of the things I think worked well is, in order to go to UPrep, your parents had to sign a contract. We agree to do these things. We'll agree to come to conferences, to be involved.
Yeah.
A big part of education, a big part of how do we close the achievement gap is that involvement.
Yeah.
My students that do well have parental involvement. Mm-hmm. My students that do well read at grade level. It's very basic. If I got parent involvement, if you read at grade level, we can soar.
Yeah.
Because I'm not having to fight all these other battles.
That's the word. You can soar. That's the word. That's what we say in Reading is Life. That's the word. And we use fathers in our process, right? And making sure that because of the cognitive piece that the father brings to the child in their development years. And we know 85% of your brain is developed by age 3. So if you're not pouring into these kids, right? If you're pouring junk, garbage, movies, video games, you're setting them on a path.
The music. Can I just talk about the music real quick?
All day, brother.
So, true story. I couldn't listen to rap till I got clean out my parents' house. It's amazing to me seeing the 3, 4, 5-year-old know lyrics to certain songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and people think it's cute.
Right.
So, this is the next question. Dave, you got one before I shoot?
Yeah, I'm not so much a question. I just want to commend you and your investment in your relationship when it came down to the crisis that came up with your son. One of the things that people don't entertain when they get married, that the classic from the vows is better and worse, right? So you're getting married, and then you have your child, and here's this scene that you can never imagine. Worse shows up. And this is no diss on the mother, the wife, but what happens is that they've never considered that the father has equally emotional investment as the mother. Yes, the mother carries the child, there's no ifs and buts about it. But for a father who's a father, he has just as much emotional connection to the child, even though he's not carrying the child. That's a physiological thing. You can't switch and say, well, I'll carry the baby this time. So you being there to support her, but at the same time being a person who's recognized for being invested in the relationship is so significant. Because as he said, it's a good story, but it's a good story because it said that there's a man, there's a husband, there's a father who is invested in the relationship. And many times our story is not told. They'll zip over, and I know this personally because I went through 2 crises with my children. And I'm not going to get into all that, but she was preemie. She was 13 ounces. And the doctor would say, that was speeding the story up. 5 years later, when they said she wouldn't make a day, they would say that I never seen a man invested this long with the child. They always know that the mother's going to be there, but they don't understand that the father is there too, if he's a father, a man, and a husband. So you being invested sets a standard for other men to recognize that we're one. We're united. We're one. And that child is equally your child as it is the mother. So you have just as much emotional connection. And that story should be told so men won't run away. Oh, I can't handle this. I can't do this. You should be able to tell that story where people can gravitate and say that your investment in your child, in your wife, your family is equally as important. And your emotional challenge that you go through is equally as important as the mother and the wife. So I commend you for being there. Because many people walk away, I wouldn't know what to do. I heard people say to me, I don't know what I would have done. I would have walked away. I would have quit. I would just turn away. But you validated your true vows of being there for better, for worse. So I commend you.
Thank you.
So, again, what's juicy? Here's the question, all right? Because Dave is right. Let's be clear that we've lived in a society where a man's voice, was silent. The other part of that is men have to value their seed. That's the difference. Mm-hmm. You have to value your seed, the marriage, the process. We're coming into these relationships and not valuing the seed. I carry the child before you do. Daily, right? So I carry the seed of life. Let's value our seeds. I was having this conversation with one of my son's former teammates the other night, and he was like, nope, I'm gonna be married. And I was like, I'm starting to hear that more and more, and I'm proud to hear that, right? So the next question is, Brother Rock, what do you do for fun?
It's funny because my wife always says that. That's a question she has. She's like, you got all this stuff going on. Like, when are you? And to be honest, so I love to read. There are books all over the house. So that's one. 2, I love just spending time with my family, spending time with my son. I'm blessed because, like I said, my dad laid out the blueprint of what fatherhood, what manhood looks like. Mm-hmm. So I'm following. I say I'm improving on his blueprint. One of the things that, and like earlier I said, it's the memories that matter most to me. One of the things I'm building upon is when I turned 14. From 14 to 18, me and my dad, we did a weekend trip to Atlanta, just me and him. And out of everything in my childhood, that is what I remember the most. Is one, the road trip with my dad, and then when we got to Atlanta, just being able just to have my dad just to myself. And so I told my wife when Ali was born, I said, I want to continue to do that, but I'm going to start when he's 5. And we're going to go. So actually this summer, and I'm actually making a multi-generational because I'm taking my dad with me. And
Nice.
My grandfather on my mom's side, who Ali's happens to share a birthday with.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Talk about legacy.
Yeah,
Right.
so I'm taking him to Louisville because his middle name's Ali, and so it's funny. The other day he came in, he watches Muhammad Ali videos with me all the time, and he's like, "Daddy, you really love Ali. Why?" So I'm like, "I'm glad you."
Right. He got the questions.
If y'all go to the Muhammad Ali Museum, you've been there before?
Yeah, this will be
a beautiful place.
my 4th time.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, we used to do that's where the campaign for Black Male Achievement, right? That's where me and Kelly met, right? At the Rumble, right? Which is based on Ali, his story, the whole nine. Like, there was some unbelievable artifacts. You've been there, so you know, but we literally, you know that picture where you see me standing up, I got the GF on, and the men are in there? That's in the Ali Center.
Okay.
Can I say one thing before I forget? What you asked the question 3 to 7. Stop calling your kids bad. Like, I'm a firm believer in speaking things into existence.
The culture needs to do that. I agree.
Yeah, like if it's one from 3 to 7, one, when they do things, they're not bad, and they're kids. They're still developing, and that's from 3 to 18. And don't think it's cute. Like, it baffles me when I see a kid act out and like the parent and people around them are laughing. No, correct it then, because if you don't correct it then, you're going to be trying to correct it when it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah, it's another term. When Two Man he was getting tubes. So he was putting tubes in his ear. The ear doctor specifically talked about not yelling, right, and cussing. Speak correct English as their hearing is developing. Because yelling and cursing, those things startle the brain. So it could damage the hearing even more. So this is why for years, when people would cuss, like my brother or whatever, my Two Man would grab my hand and walk me out the house. Let's go, Dad. Right? Because he was not exposed like that to that language as a young person, because you can't expose them to that language, because exposing them to that language, really, you're the one teaching the bad behavior. By when you calling them bad, it's only because of the environment that you have cultivated for them to be bad. So you're not teaching and processing. So another question for you, Brother Rock. Give the people the best advice you could give them. Take your time, say what you want to say, but give the people the best advice that you could offer.
So, can it be 2 pieces?
Hey, take your time. Yes, sir.
One would be do things for the right reason. When I got involved in education and can fight this fight, is not to bring glory to my name. Is to bring glory to God's name. So do things for the right reason. And me and my wife had this conversation last night. Never have done anything for money. Right? One of the conversations, one of the moments where me and my dad disagreed, and he didn't want me to go into education, right? Because it's no, he was like, no, we've been there. Your mom's in education. I'm a cop. Don't do either one. And for a minute, I was a computer engineer major, and I got in a fight with God, and God won. Right? So, but I've learned through the years, no matter if I was making 38,000, 70,000, when I'm in the right places, my bills are paid.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So do things for the right reason. And two, when you do things for the right reason, it get lonely, right? Because you're not moving how society tells you should move, and most people aren't going to understand that, and that's okay. I always say one of the biggest blessings of me having cerebral palsy was I learned at an early age who was my friends. And one of the things that my mom instilled in me is everybody not meant to be your friend, and everybody shouldn't be your friend. So when you working in the right reason, you're not gonna have a lot of friends, really. And some people won't understand why you doing what you're doing, but at the end of the day, you know God will show you why you're doing what you're doing. Like, I didn't understand a lot of things my dad did growing up, right? But now I do. And it's not a moment that goes by. Like, I wouldn't be sitting where I'm at if it wasn't for him. So even though I didn't understand that in that moment, fast forward, adult me is thankful that I had a dad that did what he did. Yeah, it didn't make sense. Yeah, people thought my dad was crazy. But when I look at some of the people that I grew up with versus where I'm at, like, I can't say nothing but say thank you. And that's the other thing, parents, like, I said it before, like, don't be your kid's friend. Like, it is okay if they're a teenager and hate you. It's part of the cycle. They're supposed to hate you. Just know that there's no parenting book either. Right? So my sister sometimes still gets upset. Oh, Dad did this when we were growing up. This happened. Saying, but he didn't have a parenting book. He didn't have a reference guide. His dad wasn't in his life, right? So when I hear people say, well, I didn't have a dad example, my dad didn't either, but he figured it out.
Yeah.
He made mistakes. Yeah. We all gonna make mistakes. I'm not gonna hold that against him because everything he did was out of love. And my dad will be 67 in June.
Oh man, you sent him to the event, so I know, right? When he came to the event, and I said, man, where I know you from? He said, man, my son Rodney sent me. I said, man, right? But yeah, Rock. So that's good, man. We glad that you could come on. Before you go, we need you to say your name and encourage me. I'm young. Look right into the camera, say your name, and end it with a nice encourage me. I'm young.
Rodney Fresh, encourage me, I'm young.
Thank you, brother. Yes. So again, next week, right, we're talking about literacy. We're bringing on Dr. Diana Green, who's the CEO of, Children's Literacy Initiative, right, out of Jacksonville, Florida, who gave us the books to hand out those 200 books. And we're trying to cultivate that relationship to do more with her, and so she's gonna come on and we're gonna have a conversation around literacy. Since you mentioned literacy and you went to war for literacy, maybe we need to have you come on and get down and go to war with us on this Reading is Life, because what we're looking at in that literacy department for boys, what was the statistic today? 17%. 17% of black boys are only at what?
Yep, at level. At reading, at third grade reading levels.
17%.
It's very, unfortunately, it's very believable in my room.
Yeah, and that's why it's funny, and then we gonna do our little things, but it's funny. In the mentoring program, we was given word level sheets that these are the words that the kids should know but Was it enforced at home? And so that's why we work so hard with the parent to get them to see that this is an enforcement that should be going on in the home. Dave, where can they reach you at?
You can reach me at FMAM, 4 Men About Men on Facebook, and you can reach me at drome7@yahoo.com.
You sound like you got the boogadoo up in there. Heather, where can they reach you at? You all right? You getting over a cold?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can reach me. I'm sorry. The boogie threw me.
Deal with these kids, you know. They come in, their parents don't take care of them, and they bring them into the office. And,
Right.
man, I was like, oh my goodness.
You can reach me at Your Inspired with the D, yourinspiredjourney.com. And you can also pick up the phone and call me at 313-759-7855.
So, Rock, I appreciate you, man, coming on and sharing. That's right, and sharing your story, your father's story, who you are. We really appreciate you for that, because
Yes.
that's what everything that you talked about is what we're about on this podcast, which is family, right? And treating people and community and even our students, our mentees, all of that as family. We heard it in here today around the significance, one, of a father, the significance of a father who's a stepfather, the significance of a father who takes his son and guides, the significance of a father who's a teacher, who's guiding and going and in the fight to help our students, our boys, understand that they have value. Right? We heard it today how the journey of being a husband, right, which falls into our demographic. The boy becomes a man, the man becomes a husband, and the husband becomes a father. Those transitions have led this brother in the proper way. We all need that position in life. We all need fathers and mentors and men to guide us properly. I am reminded of Dave is always saying, we are here, one, to prevent you to having 20 years of unnecessary, so you can stay on track. Rodney's doing that for a lot of young people. If we can just get the parents and the people to buy in. It's shocking to hear, but it's not surprising that only one parent showed up in the community, because that community bears the fruit, right, of what was happening with the students. Parents, you have to make sure that you are involved with your teacher, not in a yelling and screaming manner, but in a way that you can participate and make sure that your child get the maximum and learn some things from that teacher. You'll get a better outcome from education. I think that's another area right along that helps the kid come to school, so we wouldn't have high truancy. Our kids are spending too much time fighting and arguing and debating like they're all adults, but not getting the education, which allows for the separation in your economics and in your life. I truly appreciate this moment because, again, literacy, reading is life. And the young man said he has books all over his home. And that is the greatest piece of this conversation, was the fact that he's still the reader that his parents poured in him to be. My name is Calvin Mann. Thank you for tuning in. Again, next week is going to be awesome. Heather, Dave, Rod, you guys have a blessed week and encourage me. I'm young. Peace.